Great.
Okay. So it's now, well, it's 4 minutes past. I think it's probably okay if we want to kick off, and then if anyone joins us, I'll just let them in as they arrive.
Great. Well, Ben, I'll just get started on the main slide if we're ready. And
yeah, for sure. Does everyone see that okay, the presentation? Yep. Cool. All right, let's do it.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. This is an idea that's been in the works for quite a while. I'll just start with introductions. My name is Michelle Courtwright. I live in Minneapolis. I'm an entrepreneur, and this concept came to me, it's been over a decade. I picked up my kids and we moved to a little village outside of Avignon many years ago, about 15 years ago. And it was just the most magical summer. It was, I met a cast of characters. We had a great time. We were, picking wines from our friend's vineyard and having long, lazy lunches and dinners. And it was just wonderful. It was great. So this has just been something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So so that's my background. And this is my friend Zelda. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so Michelle and I have worked on a couple of projects here, businesses together. And so when she presented this idea to me, I thought, wow, this sounds fantastic. Could it be? Could we actually all get a bunch of people together to buy an amazing piece of property in southern France? And it looks like this is coming together, and we have a great team put together for everyone to hear how this could all work. We have Ben, who I'm going to introduce to you now, who we met through Facebook on one of his, he has a Facebook page on his business for chateau buying and selling and restoration, and connected with him. And it's been such a great experience meeting him and learning more about his business. And he's in Provence. So this is, and he has his team of people, which I'll introduce, to make this really a doable project for everybody. So, Ben.
Thanks, Zelda. Yeah, so my name's Ben. I live in Aix-en-Provence in the south of France. Just going to let someone in here. Yeah, so I moved to France 4 years ago with my husband and kids after visiting France for over 30 years. I love the place here. I've always been a Francophile, and we decided we wanted the kids to learn French. So we decided to make the move and come and live in France. So my background is property and real estate. And then when we arrived in Paris 4 years ago, I decided to do a Bachelor of Interior Architecture just to upgrade my skills and sort of be able to continue offering different services to my clients. And then in that time that I've been in France, I have set up the company Milieu Property, which is partnering with Michelle and Zelda. And I'm essentially the French person on the ground, carrying out like the French part of the project. So usually our clients are sort of like a typical one-to-one client. And then this really interesting group project, I'm super excited to be involved with. So our usual services that we provide, and part of what we're doing here in this project too, is I find properties, I visit properties for our clients. I've got a team of architects, builders, engineers. We go check the properties out, make sure they're structurally sound. We value them, we negotiate with the sales agents, and we acquire these properties on behalf of our clients, make sure we get them for the best price possible. And alongside those steps in an acquisition, again, because most of my clients, and especially in this group project, you're not from France, so you don't have the professional team needed to execute a purchase, which is really important. So as with any client, I provide all those professionals that you need. So, and 4 of them are here today in the webinar. And actually, acquiring property in France is even more difficult than just with the 4 professionals here on this webinar, but we just sort of brought some of the key players for you to meet. So, but yeah, there's actually like a whole band of people in addition to who's here today that all work towards acquiring a property in France. It's quite complicated, but we simplify it for you. So with us today, and going to be able to answer questions at the end, but I'm going to get each participant to just introduce themselves, what they do and what would be their role in this project. So Eric, you're the immigration specialist. I'll quickly hand over to you.
Good evening, good morning, everyone. Eric Donjon, I'm a French national. I'm speaking tonight from Newcastle upon Tyne, the great northeast of the United Kingdom. We're about an hour and a half south of Edinburgh in Scotland. As I moved to England about 40 years ago this coming June, and I'm tonight the immigration specialist. In my basket back in 2016, the French government appointed me honorary consul for the north of England. And it's obviously in a capacity as a private individual consultant immigration that I'm speaking to you today. I'll be answering all your questions concerning, or most of your questions, if I can, your immigration questions, how to travel and how long you can stay, visas, and so forth.
Thanks, Eric. Audrey is our notaire. Audrey, I don't see you, but would you like to jump in and introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everybody. So I'm Audrey Brouet, or Audrey in English. I'm a notaire in Paris, France. So I don't know if you already know what is a notaire in France, because it's not the same in the United States or United Kingdom. We are law professionals. We are appointed by the Ministry of Justice, and we mainly deal with real estate law and family law. So of course here is to talk about real estate. So in France, it's mandatory to have a notaire to purchase property, because to be the owner of a real estate property, you have to sign a deed prepared and signed by a notaire. But we don't only do that, we also do the whole due diligence about the legal part of the real estate property.
Perfect. Thank you, Audrey. Louise, our lovely interior designer.
Hi, my name's Louise. I'm from the UK. I've lived in France for 3 years. I live in a small village in Provence called Cotignac. And I've been working in interior design, must be for 8 years now. So I'm on the project to help with any interior modifications, decor, styling, and of course exterior spaces as well that might need updating with furniture, etc.
Excellent. Thanks, Louise.
Okay.
And then finally, Ephraim. I don't see you either, but feel free to jump in.
You see me now?
Yes, got you. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So my name is Ephraim Landau. I'm a French tax and business lawyer based in Paris. I work at the law firm Landau and Rudovich, which is my law firm, and I also have a partner. And our firm specializes in structuring and optimizing the legal and tax aspects of various projects, particularly in real estate. And so I will be responsible for the creation of the Société Civile Immobilière, the SCI, which is the company, and the optimization of its tax structure. So I will be able to answer to your question about all the legal and tax aspects of the project.
That's perfect. Thank you, Ephraim. All right. So over to you, Michelle.
Great. Well, hello. I just want to talk about the general concept of fractional ownership, and let you know that today we are going to go do a deep dive into a specific project, but this is the general idea is fractional ownership, which we can talk about later in terms of other projects that might make sense for everybody on the call. Basically, fractional ownership is where you take a corporation and you buy ownership in the corporation, which is the building. And these shares can be sold, bought and sold. It's just like any other share in a corporation. It is different than a timeshare. And the reason why timeshares generally are owned and managed by other companies, they require you to select certain dates to be at the facility, at the property. This is more of a one-on-one type situation. So if there are 18, 20 bedrooms in a chateau, you're going to have a similar amount of owners. And there's some variations that we're going to get into later on that maximize your investment, but generally you own a share and you get to use it when you want. Nobody's telling you when you can use it. The first project that we're doing under this fractional ownership concept is called Matriarch. And as I mentioned before, I just had this amazing experience living in southern France, and I've talked to a million business owners that are like, I would love to get away from my kids, get away from my family, just have a respite where I can go relax, be around other like-minded women, have some wine, be in nature, really just enjoy it for what it is. And this conversation has come up so many times. Every time that Zelda and I mention this to any friends, they're like, oh my God, count me in. Like that's exactly what I've been looking for. So Matriarch we're going to walk you through this process. But again, if you are like, yeah, you know what, I like this as a concept, as a writer's workshop or an art retreat or something like that, we are here to curate expat communities in southern France, so and in France in general. So I think the idea would just be to kind of look at it through the lens of what are you looking for personally. We will go into those other projects later. So yeah. Okay, so the benefits of fractional ownership, the main one that everybody looks to is that it makes it more affordable. You can buy a $3 million chateau and, for a couple $100,000, you have bought in and you have your own room and you have your own space. So that's kind of the main thing. But also, I think it's about community. We've all gone on trips and traveled where you wish you had, friends or colleagues that you could, go out to lunch or dinner with, or have a big dinner party at the end of the night, things like that. And so we really want to be mindful of creating community and finding people who enjoy spending time together. We do make this very turnkey. So we have, all of the property maintenance, all of the cleaning and things like that. In this particular one are all buttoned up and inclusive of the prices that we talk about. You can come and go as you please. You don't have to bring anything. You don't have to change the sheets. This is kind of like in Minnesota, we all have cabins. This is like having your cabin, but somebody's servicing it for you. Lastly, you can rent out your space, your room, and earn income from this. On this particular one, we are specifying that it needs to be female entrepreneurs. But in some of these other projects, that might, end up being things that you decide together within your own cohort, excuse me. And so we want to be able to have people, earn revenue from this investment.
So just letting everyone know how it will be structured. So Michelle touched on this briefly. We are setting up a French company. Ephraim will do that. It's called an SCI. And that is the entity that purchases the chateau. And it's an important structure. The reason why we do that is because we want you to be able to easily buy in and sell out. So if you can imagine, you're just buying and selling shares in that company, which means that when you want to sell, you're just selling shares rather than trying to sell 1/30th of a building, which essentially is not possible. So that structure makes it possible to get in and out much more easily. And then in terms of, these properties are on the live property market. So I am like the real estate part of this project, and I can assure you that I'm visiting and identifying properties, but the one we are showing to you today, it's just on the property market and it could go. And so that is just the reality of the market. And so we have to adapt accordingly. But what I would say is the chateau market is a little slow in general. So that, I guess, is an advantage in this case. It's not like a New York City apartment that just you've got a week and then it's gone. So that is to our advantage, but it's not like we can dilly-dally too much because the reality is it's just on the market. I don't have a magic wand to make them hold it for us as much as I wish I did. The project timeline, we're thinking what would be reasonable is, so I've already visited the chateau. Michelle and Zelda will be here in a few weeks for them to visit. We're thinking a purchase around summertime, like signing something in September, in by November, December. We think it's not like too rushed, but I don't think we could really leave it much longer than that either, or we certainly would risk that this property would go. And I think it would be nice to be in there by December, just as a sort of punctuation point in the year, to be in there by the end of the year. Now, because it's a group situation, obviously, like any sort of like condo or any where you live in an apartment and there's common areas, there's obviously going to be some maintenance costs that everyone contributes to. And the good thing is, because it's a large group of you, it really keeps those costs down on a per person basis. So we're thinking it's going to be 5,000 or less per person for the maintenance, and that will include a professional management company, a property management company who will run this for you guys, for the investors. And that includes everything from the day-to-day, just cleaning, like small repairs and things that happen day to day, and including having money left aside for in 15 years, we might have a major roof repair or something like that. So all of that is taken care of, and the insurance, all of that kind of thing will come out of those annual maintenance costs. Okay. Now I'll just explain a little bit about the property that I've been to. It is a gorgeous chateau in Occitanie. In Gaillac is the sort of the little region, and the town is Salette. So I was there a few weeks ago. It's really pretty. It's rolling hills, like countryside, really green. It's set in amongst vineyards, and there's a little video following this, so you'll get to have a look at the place. So just geographically, I can let you know it's near some really beautiful towns. Some of them are classified. Like there's a beautiful old medieval town that sits atop a hill. You can see it from miles away. It's called Cordes-sur-Ciel. Albi is nearby, which is quite a medium-sized town. It's a UNESCO World Heritage listed town. It's absolutely stunning. In terms of accessibility, it's close to Toulouse. It's under 45 minutes from Toulouse train station, 50 minutes to Toulouse International Airport. So great if you're flying in from all around Europe. Not sure about connections to the US. We can certainly look that up, but it's an international airport and certainly has connections via Paris. No problem with that. The building itself, it's in really, really good condition. I checked it. They've maintained it incredibly well. It's immaculate. It's currently running as a 4-star hotel. And I would say there's the opportunity for a light refresh on perhaps bathrooms, things like that. And Louise will work with me on this. But again, as Michelle was saying earlier, this will ultimately come down to I'm just going to let somebody in here. This will be a decision for the investors. So it will be open to the group to decide, okay, well, do we want to put a little bit extra in? We can upgrade all the bathrooms. No, we're fine with them as they are. That's a group decision. But I've checked it. It's a really nice space. And I'll just put the video on for you. Apologies that it's in portrait. All of my Instagram reels and things are done like this, and I'm not a professional videographer.
I think what's interesting to look at here is when you have a big group of women getting together, you can have events, yoga retreats, artist retreats, different things. You can have a ton of, just sit by the pool kind of moments. But it's really nice for women who want to entertain or have some sort of workshop or retreat.
And unfortunately, it was raining and grey that day, so it wasn't in its best light, but we made do.
Oh, Ben, could you talk about the vineyard and the wine?
Oh, yeah, good point. So one of the unique things about the property is that it does have its own vines. And as a sort of friendly arrangement that we have with, sorry, let me go back there. As we have, there's a friendly arrangement with the neighboring winemaker. And so essentially as a bartering system, the chateau doesn't charge him for the lease of the land, but he makes all the wine for the chateau, and he does personalized wine for the chateau. So we can essentially have like a matriarch wine made especially for our group, or whichever group ends up here. But basically we can do a beautiful customized, personalized wine series. Even there's a few different grape types. So I saw a good comment there. But yeah, that is a really cool feature of the property, and even down to little things like, similar to what Michelle was mentioning earlier, just most of the women entrepreneurs who would go for something like this, you're all in busy jobs, possibly living in big cities. This is really the opposite of that. It's a retreat where you can just be in nature. You can even help pick the grapes, things like that. It's really a change to the city life. So let's jump ahead past that video again. And I'll jump to Michelle. Would you like to go through option A and B?
Yes. Okay, so as we had talked about before, we can have a one-to-one situation. So this chateau has 18 bedrooms, we can sell 18 shares, and that basically all inclusive of upgrades, getting it furnished, all of that sort of thing, comes to 175. You can come anytime. There's no restriction on when you can be there. You can rent out your room anytime for revenue. You can work together with your cohort to create events and retreats there. And as Ben had mentioned, if a wine is produced there, the matriarch wine, and we get distribution, anywhere in the world, we could actually have that money go back to the corporation and use that money to offset maintenance, or it could be revenue generating, basically. So that's option A. Option B, because when we got to thinking about this, it's very rare that female entrepreneurs can go here every week of the year. I'm assuming most people can go for a couple weeks or a couple months or something. And so we thought, if it would make it cheaper if we had more investors. And so you could do something where, you have something like 30 owners, that would bring the cost down to about 100. And then basically you're guaranteed to you're still guaranteed to get a spot anytime, but there might be some more restrictions. Things that we've talked about, have been, maybe during the month of July and August, you can't have, you have to have your own room and you can't rent it out or something like that. And again, this is something that I can facilitate with the group. Once all of the women are together, we can make rules and guidelines and say, okay, who thinks they're going to be here, 2 weeks, and who are going to be here, way more than 2 months. It's all going to be different. Again, it's a little cat herding, so we don't want to go too much into specifics right now, because it would be up to your group. But we would have some sort of software program where you would say, I'm going to be there every August for a month, or I'm going to be there for these weeks, and you essentially book it in advance, and that way everybody is on the same page. And then the property manager can see what's going on. You can have conversations about, oh, we're going to have a yoga retreat on these weeks. Who wants their room? Does anybody want to sell their room or rent out their room for that time? So just a little bit of a different format, but again, this will be dependent on each group.
Okay.
And like I've said before, these are as close to inclusive as we can. If you decide that you want to upgrade all the appliances to, the best in the, and you really want to do that, we can certainly do that. But these are just kind of a rough number of what we're looking for to have it move in ready for you. Interior design is, again, we try with this many people to keep it as neutral as possible. This is an example of something for matriarch where it's got, comfy, neutral furniture. It's got a lot of plants and a lot of light, and, things like that. But again, if you have a very custom group that you're pulling together, you guys might decide on a different design aesthetic, and certainly you can work with Louise directly on that and kind of see what the budget looks like and see how much you want to pitch in on that. For projects, we have a million ideas on these communities because there's just so much you can do with it. One funny one that we have coming up is the Bad American, where it's politically progressive people, maybe escaping the election chaos going on in the United States right now. But it would just be a community, men and women, just general users, and you would just have fun having dinner parties, wine, food, nature. Again, just kind of a very eclectic group of people that find other eclectic, fun people. The girls and the gays, we love this concept. It's kind of a commune where all the women get together, but their gay friends are there. Everybody's sitting by the pool and having a pina colada. It's amazing and fun and lovely, and you just meet interesting people. And then again, that bespoke idea where you say, look, I'm a writer, or I'm very interested in this concept for these type of people, and we help to curate that and pull that together for you as well. So we're very open to other projects and would love to get your feedback on that.
Okay, we did well. It's half an hour. So we're up to the last slide of if there's any questions. I'm just going to see if there's anything written in the chat. Feel free to just sing out your questions, or you can write them in the chat if you have anything you'd like to ask us.
So, hi, this is Martina. I'm in Los Angeles, and I have a few questions. So the one that you're talking about right now, the matriarch, is a project that's this specific webinar is for, to like bring together women. The other projects are other ones that you're working on, or they're kind of ideas that you're fleshing out as well, as other potential projects. Or if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I have 3 families, and we want to like come in together to buy something." Maybe we don't have a theme, but we have some, kind of idea of wanting to at least invest. That's kind of the work that you guys do.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
and
okay.
one of the things that we have all, Ben and Zelda and I have talked about is that not everybody can afford $100,000 or $200,000. And so, there might be a property that Ben finds that's lovely and it's, $500,000 or $1 million, but, it would require a smaller investment, or maybe, you're okay with it not being in perfect condition, and somebody there is a great gardener and somebody there is a fixer-upper kind of person. Those sort of things can kind of flush out.
Okay.
But we certainly want to keep the dialogue open to see what you're interested in and what makes sense for you, for your budget, and for your people.
Yeah, but the foundation of it sounds like you have this French company that is able to secure, I guess, the loan. So I'm a dual citizen. I have an EU passport, so I'm Dutch and American, and so I've been actually doing a lot of research on this to figure out, the complexities of buying in France or the Netherlands or different countries. And so when you talked about the legal pieces of it and getting the visa and all of that, does that come into play? Like if I'm working with another woman who's doesn't have dual citizenship, but she might want to stay there a while, is there advice on like how to make that work as well?
Yes. Ephraim, would you like to start there? Or Eric? Yes.
Eric.
I think it's Eric, yes.
I'll jump in. Thank you for asking the question. As an EU citizen, you obviously have no problem coming in and out as many times as you want. Your friend, it all depends what passport she holds. If it's a US passport, she can come for 90 solid days.
Okay.
Without a visa.
Okay, got it. Okay. And the ownership of property or the investment like that doesn't make a difference, right?
It doesn't give you any advantage, but it doesn't give you a disadvantage either.
Got it. That's great. Okay.
And Eric, then to jump in, you could help though. Am I right? If 90 days wasn't enough, and you had one of the participants wants to get the 180-day visa or other kind of visa, you can also assist with that, correct?
Absolutely, yes. I would take over past the 90 days.
Got it. Okay, that's awesome. And then I have one more quick question. Like, so when you're buying shares in the company, you mentioned that. I think that's just brilliant. I had never even thought of that idea, but obviously I'm still learning. But so the shares that you're buying, right, is the property value increases, and I'm sure in the countryside of France, it's not like LA where they're going kind of crazy. But as that property value increases, your shares increase. That's the investment piece of it, right? So if at a certain point you wanted to sell the shares or whatever, you recognize that increase in the value of the property as well, right? Is that sort of the concept with the shares?
Yeah, you can probably contribute here, and I'll just say one thing as well, Ephraim, which would be that, yes, if there had been an increase in the market, that would definitely be taken into consideration. So let's say the purchase price, I'm just going to go really round numbers, is 2.5 million. There's 25 of you. It costs you 100,000 each. And then you want to sell in 10 years and the property is worth 3,500,000. So it's gone up by 100,000. Then, yeah, in theory, your share would have gone up from 100,000 to whatever the numbers are.
Yeah, under 20, something like that.
Yeah.
Live,
but
yeah.
So we still need to find someone to buy the shares for you at the new market rates. But I mean, there's no reason why that wouldn't, like that definitely would be taken into consideration for sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is there anything that you want to add on that, Ephraim, or is that okay?
No, you said everything. It's okay.
Okay, perfect. And Eric, you've got your hand up. Do you want to jump in about something?
Yes, I just wanted to add something, a little comment to Martina. I know the region very well. That's where we've got our family home. About 20 minutes away from this lovely town of Gaillac. Gaillac is one of the points of the Golden Triangle, which is made up of Gaillac, Albi, and Cordes-sur-Ciel. Cordes-sur-Ciel was referred to by Ben a few minutes ago, which is a fantastic, lovely little medieval town, was voted best village in France about 10 years ago. And it still is a pretty good village to be. Obviously, there's been some other winners since, but when you think about it, you would have the best village or best looking village in France on your doorstep. You'll be surrounded by wine. In the Gaillac region, you've got 7 wines being made, from sparkling to sweet white. It's an amazing area for wine making, when you think that the area is very small, but they make all that good wine. So the property value increase is definitely a likelihood.
And one thing I didn't, oh, sorry, I was just going to say one thing I didn't mention, or maybe I did, or if it was in the rehearsal, but just the colors are so beautiful. Like it's a part of France. It really has actually 4 seasons, like defined 4 seasons. Like it has a nice hot summer, like a proper summer where it's hot, you're going to be in the pool every day. Autumn is stunning, like beautiful colors, leaves, and just stunning as well. A nice cold winter, not super cold where it's snowing, but like it's again a defined winter. And then spring is gorgeous, which is when I was there, like green and floral, and so it has a really nice climate as well. As well as the beautiful medieval towns and the architecture.
If I could add, Ben, easy access by train to Toulouse and Albi on the same line.
Correct. Yeah, the train travel around there is really good. Yeah. And then I've noticed in the chat an excellent question. I'll read it out in case people aren't reading this. So Jenny asked, what would be the capital gains liability in that case? So just coming back to Martina's question about, let's say your share went up from 100,000 to 150. Excellent question. The capital gain is determined by the difference. This is Ephraim. Thank you for jumping in so quickly. Is determined by the difference between the sale price and the acquisition price. Then allowances for the holding period are applied, which reduce the taxable base of the capital gain. The net capital gain is taxed in France at approximately 36%. Next, we will need to review the tax treaty between France and your country of residence to determine the methods for eliminating double taxation. So am I right in thinking, Ephraim, when you say they're reducing the tax base, all of those annual fees that they've been putting in, those are the kind of deductions? So if they purchase the shares for 100,000, 10 years later, they've spent 50,000 on fees of annual maintenance fees. Actually, that coincidentally, that equals 150,000. So does that mean you would have no capital gains tax?
No, it depends on the time that you hold the share. So
If for 10 years?
if you hold the share, let's say 20 years, it's almost, there is no taxation, almost no taxation. And there is no taxation at all if you hold the shares for 30 years.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the principle.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ephraim. Any other questions?
Michael, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
sorry, I didn't see that. Go ahead,
No
Michael.
problem, no problem. So I'm not an English native speaker, so maybe I got something wrong. Just asking for a better understanding. So you are looking first for the real estate and then you are looking for a group of investors, or are you looking for a group of investors first and then you are looking for real estate? Or is it both ways possible?
Do you
That's
want
a
to take
good
this,
question.
Michelle?
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of both. It's a chicken and the egg situation all the time. Like Ben said, this chateau could be sold tomorrow and we'd have to start from square one. So we do want to find people that are, if you like the property, if you are interested, trying to move quicker so that we don't lose the property and spend all the time. But then I think on the other side of that, if you say, okay, here's a group of us and, here's our budget, we want to spend about this, and, do you have any ideas, or can you curate us with other people? Then we can work backwards and Ben can find the property that makes the most sense, that meets your needs. So this is our first project and we're learning as we go, but this is a very fluid, type of situation. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
because this would be
to summarize,
sorry.
I think you said it right. It's basically the projects that this project, it's going in that direction. Found the property first. Now we're trying to bring people in. But the other ones, as Michelle said, yeah, I'll find it for you. If you say, hey, I've got 10 of my mates, we all like fishing or like whatever, like we will do that. Or I've got 10 artists. We need studios. I've got horse riders. So we can, as Michelle said, we'll curate whatever. I'll find the property for you and we can do it in that direction too.
And in case I'm buying some shares, what exactly I'm buying? Is it that I get one room assigned of the chateau, or what exactly do I'm buying? And if the room is assigned to a share, how you are dealing with the situation that some room has a better view or is bigger than another room, and how you're doing this?
So the shares give you the rights, a right of part of all the property, not of one room. So you have a right on the room, on the bathroom, on the kitchen, on the garden, on everything. But it's a right that you share with your partners, the shareholders.
But sooner or later, you have to decide who gets the nicest room, for example.
We did speak about this, and like many of the questions, it will be led by the investors because ultimately it's your property, so you guys decide. But what I just we were riffing before about this exact question, and I think it just makes sense that the best bedrooms are going to go first, and like, don't leave the best bedrooms empty the whole time. Like, it'll just kind of be on a first come, first serve basis. I can say that in this case, the standard of the rooms is very similar. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm going to get there last. It's horrible compared to this bridal suite or whatever. Like there's not a huge variation in the rooms in this particular chateau. And, if it's same with if you were to come to me and say, okay, I've got 8 of my friends, I could do that as well. You could say, we want the rooms to be quite similar. Or you might say, no, 2 of us are families with kids. They need to be in the outbuildings, a little house. and the rest of us, we want to all be in the chateau because we want to like have drinks every night. Like all of it is down to what does the group want, but everyone is kind of operating in good faith that that I'm going to get a place there. I'm going to accept it if I'm not in the very best room every time.
And how is it with the bathroom or kitchen? So if I coming to the chateau and it's, let's say, half of the investors are in the chateau, I guess not every room has an own shower or a kitchen, right? So how this is going to work?
This one does. And again, that can be a requirement. It all comes down to your search criteria. So I'm actually working on some projects where that is a requirement. The ratio is 1-to-1 of bathrooms to bedrooms, and then some people don't need that. So it will. That is, again, you guys will dictate that.
Okay, and if I have a share and another investor has, I don't know, 3 shares, for example, everyone can stay as long as he wants to be in the chateau, or is it somehow limited?
Yeah. Do you want to take that or me, Michelle?
Oh, I can take that. Yeah, we again, it's how it's set up, but when you do 1-to-1, you can obviously be there anytime. There's always going to be a bedroom for you to stay in, and maybe those rotate, or maybe you want to keep your own bedroom. When it's if you wanted the price to be lower and you all agreed that you're not always going to be there at the same time, and there's always going to be, like I'll use matriarch, there is no way 30 women are all going to be there at the same time. Everybody's got different vacation schedules and how long they can stay and so forth. So it's just something that you would figure out, case by case on the bedrooms. Now, the idea of having 3 shares, that could be that somebody, maybe I buy 3 shares and I know that my employees or my team or in this case, it's all female entrepreneurs. Maybe they're my guests. There are ways you can buy more shares of the company, but it would be, they're all equal, and so you would have triple the amount of access that one share would have.
And what about running costs? How this is? Do we have to pay on a monthly basis or?
Yes, Ben had brought that up earlier. On this particular project, with all of the maintenance and the staff required, we estimated it'll be about $5,000 a year or less. That number completely depends on how many owners there are. So if we have 18 versus 30, the numbers move up and down. But we can be really transparent about all of that and say, if you want this. And also, you don't need all of those levels of service. If you decide that you want to clean your own house with your friends and they all agree, that might be a added expense you don't have to pay. So we can outline that for you and work directly with you.
Okay. And then one last question, and then I'm done. Is do you have also some concepts to generate profit for the shareholders while the shareholders are not using the properties or renting out the rooms for tourists or something like this?
Yes, one idea that we have for Matriarch is that it's advertised to other female entrepreneurs all around the world, and it's really a special place. There's programming always going on, there's events and things, so it's really a treat to go stay there. And so whether that, I don't know how much that would be to stay there, but let's say it's $1,000 or $2,000 for the week, and either that money goes back to the owner of that room, or if they decide to collectively take in all of that money. But certainly it could be an Airbnb situation for those who want to do that. It could be limited to friends and family. There's a million different ways, but certainly we know that Southern France is very popular to stay in during 3 seasons out of the year. And so we, definitely that could be a revenue generating project for you.
To give you an idea, just a couple of numbers that we were talking about earlier. Let's say your maintenance costs are $5,000 per year. That's only probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks if you're renting out your room, and you would have covered off your maintenance straight away. And then any weeks you rent out your room over and above that, that would be in your pocket, essentially. That would be, you would have covered your expenses, and then the rest is to you. So it certainly can be a revenue generating exercise.
I was participating in a webinar like this with a similar concept, which is a company in Germany. And their idea was that they are generating revenue.
Is it Abby?
No, it's, I will put it in the chat.
Okay.
I think it was this. And they are putting all the revenue they are generating into one big pool, and it gets distributed across the different shares that all the shareholders.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter if you have a very nice room and this is always, let's say, rented out, while another shareholder has a room this is never rented out. It doesn't matter, right? You are generating the revenue, put it into a pool, and then you distribute the money across the shareholders at the end of the year.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, we're facilitators, so that can totally be something you do in your group, and absolutely can be customized. Yeah.
Definitely. If I were to say one more thing about that, and this is not a fixed thing, but it's a guideline maybe, in our option A, where it was 1-to-1, so 18 investors, 18 rooms, that's a really easy situation where when you're not there personally, you can rent out a room and it's more to you, that income. Whereas I feel like in option B, where there's 30 owners across 18 rooms, that's where you could do the pooled situation, and it's like centralized, and then all the empty rooms are combined, and then that money can go into paying off everybody's maintenance and the chef and the other expenses. So it can work both ways.
Thank you.
Well, I think we want to be considerate of everyone's time. So if you have any other questions, we're going to send you a recap of this today to the emails that you signed up under. And we'd love to keep this conversation going if you're interested in Matriarch or another project. But we'll have a summary today out to you, and we can go from there.
Michelle, there's one more question in the chat. Do we have time for that?
Sorry, yes, of course, I didn't see it.
LJ, I muted myself before when I was talking. That LJ has got a good question. What would happen if one shareholder wanted to upgrade their room at their own expense?
Make their room nice.
Oh, yeah, I think at their own expense, I think that would be fine. Yeah, if you run it through the cohort, I don't see why that wouldn't be an issue at all. And maybe that's something that you always put into your guidelines of your rules for your cohort, that you just say, okay, these are our own rooms and we can do what we want with them.
Yeah.
No worries.
That's great. Thank you for your question, LJ. Okay, well, I think we got it. I think we're done. Thank you for all your questions and participation. Do you want to close this out, Michelle?
Yes, well, thank you everybody so much. I saw one more question come in, so I'll respond to that directly. And then, yes, we're here if you need it. If you have any questions or brainstorming or anything, we'd love to keep this going. And thank you for coming today.
Oh, and we're going to send out a one-page, like a little document that summarizes everything to everyone that was here, and I guess everyone who signed up but couldn't make it.
Yes,
cool.
definitely.
And that'll include contact information as well, like if we're thinking of a different project.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Awesome. Thank you. This is great. This is super helpful. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir. Thank you. Bye.
Au revoir.
Merci. C'est juste Violette? Non, elle est partie.